Annabel Lee. In order to understand this particular poem, you have to know a little bit about the author, and you probably already do. Edgar Allan Poe was a tortured human being who had a difficult childhood and youth. Um, Sent around from pillar to post to live with this person and relatives and not relatives and so forth. And he had a very sour outlook on life. Some authors say that he was mentally ill um, as a result of the awful upbringing and the awful early years that he had. So most of his stories, you may remember reading The Telltale Heart or the poem The Raven, dark poetry. And in his young adult life, he was taken in by a distant cousin um, who had a daughter named Virginia Clem. And when Virginia was 13 years old, the mother was concerned about her future, and so Edgar Allan Poe married her as a promise to take care of her so that her mother didn't have to worry about her. It was true love, apparently. Apparently, the man adored her, and she deeply loved him. She contracted tuberculosis and died at a very early age, and Poe never got over the death of his great love. The poem Annabel Lee is written to commemorate his great love for Virginia. Poe had a vocabulary that would choke a horse, and he uses huge words that we don't normally use. We don't even normally understand them. So some of the language in this poem is difficult, and I'll try to help you with that a little bit. But he says, "It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden, she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. She was a child, and I was a child, in this kingdom by the sea, but we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabel Lee, with a love that the winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me." Pause. Their love was so pure that even the angels envied them of that emotion. Now, obviously, this is a fantasy. He is setting the poem in a place that doesn't really exist. He has given his love a different name than her real name. He has written a fantasy, but basically it speaks of his love for his wife. And this was the reason that long ago in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud at night, chilling my Annabel Lee, so that her high-born kinsman came and bore her away from me to shut her up in a sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea. The angels, not so happy and not half so happy in heaven, went envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as all men know in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of a cloud, chilling and killing my Annabel Lee. So the forces were so jealous of this pure and beautiful love that they couldn't let it alone, and they had to take the life of his love. But our love, it was stronger by far of the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we. And neither the angels in heaven above nor the demons down under the sea can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabel Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And the stars never rise, but I see the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And so all the night tide, I lie down by the side of my darling, my life, and my bride, in her sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the side of the sea. He's saying he may as well be dead and join her in her tomb by the sea. You notice that when I read, sometimes I get caught up in the rhythm instead of in the meaning of the poem, and that's a problem with poetry. It is so regular. Sometimes the beat of the poem is so regular that you get to doing this da 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 boom, da 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 boom, and there you are. So I apologize if I don't get the meaning through because I get caught up in the pattern. I try to avoid that, but I don't always pull it off. Okay, so much for Annabel Lee. We'll probably hear more of Edgar Allan Poe later on.